crowd, they're never tame. Mets Postgame show brings the flame.
What's up, Mets fans? We are back with another Mets post-game show right here after this electric 12-6 victory over the Washington Nationals. The New York Mets did exactly what they needed to do to set the tone of this series and start off strong, as we now only have 8 games left to play. We are live here on YouTube. We are live over on X as well. So please make sure to smash the thumbs up buttons. It definitely makes a difference. If you're just so happening to tune into this stream and you're not aware of the channel, we do these post games. Make sure to subscribe and comment your thoughts and opinions in the live chat as well. Nick, how are you doing? How does this win make you feel?
It had all the makings of one of those deflating losses after we've shown some promise, which is what we've seen throughout this season. We go down 4-1 due to some shoddy defense by Jose Siri. And I mean, this Mets team, as I've seen them have the potential to do all season, though it hasn't always shown up. They had some fight, they had some grit. We got right back into the game. We continued to tack on runs, and the bullpen did its thing. I mean, you got some guys in the bullpen who have been struggling all year who have started to figure it out here of late, and I'm sure we'll get into that in more detail here soon.
You know what, though? Let's get into it right now, because chronologically speaking, we should talk about the beginning of the game first. But I think that this is the biggest thing that I took away from this Mets win today. And we'll get into Brandon Sproul. We'll get into the box score here from the offense here in just a second. We'll talk about all of that. But that's a very, very good point by you. And by the way, let me just go ahead and do my due diligence here in the live chat for the lovely Mets fan base that's here with us tonight, spamming some W's. I love it. Telly, Gina, George, all of these W's is absolutely awesome. PAS in the house as well. I went over on John's live stream, and I was, kind of answering some questions there too. I appreciate that. Great stuff. Make sure to go subscribe to the Pure Adrenaline Sports Network over on YouTube. Cindy is here. I absolutely love it. And we got some W's from you here too as well. Nick, first and foremost, by the way, go subscribe to Nick's channel over on YouTube as well. Make sure to go ahead and do that. Great, just New York sports coverage, all in all. You don't want to miss out on that. Make sure to go subscribe. So let's talk about the bullpen, though, right? This is such a unique way to start a post game, right? Because we should be talking about Brandon Sprout. We will talk about Jose Siri. Don't you worry. We'll talk about Jose Siri, but I like these guys out of the bullpen getting the job done. Listen, I'm going to say the name first and foremost, Ryan Helsley, with another scoreless inning out of this bullpen, which was really good to see. Nick, I really think that once you start compounding these kinds of games and getting these bullpen arms a little bit more confident, maybe it's a lower leverage situation when they're coming in. I 100% understand it. But with the production that we were getting from some of these arms, Stanek, Helsley, etc., this is good to see. This is really good to see. And I think that this is a huge win. Now, the offense set this up. Let's make no mistake about it. The offense set this opportunity for these guys to get into the game and post zeros up. But just like the confidence level of these guys, you can't help but think like getting these guys in the game, posting zeros is going to boost so much confidence from them. And I'm very happy to see it. I'm very happy.
Other than Brazaban and Davinsky there at the end with a little bit of a hiccup, everybody was lights out in that bullpen. And I know, listen, Helsley, I have a little bit to say to him, but first I got to go out here and I got to give some love to Ryan Stanek, who came out there. And this guy has been a bit of a disaster all year. His September has been a lot better. And then he's in the dugout and he's going back and forth with Mendy trying to get back out there for the next inning. I love that. I love that competitive spirit. Helsley seems like maybe he's figured something out, man. And if that's the case, that changes everything for this team. That gets you 7, 8, 9, where you feel like you are in very good shape. And when we talk about these guys, I mean, look, Rayleigh, your guy, he comes in, does what he's supposed to do, but he's been doing it, all season long. Rogers has been good all season long, and since the Mets have picked him up. But when we're talking about Stanek, when we're talking about Helsley, these are guys who are going to be very important, that are going to need to get some big outs in this next week, and also in October if we make it. And those guys getting their confidence is so important. Like you said, we have to stop at this point and give some credit to Carlos Mendoza, because Mendoza kept going back to these guys, and he knew that, hey, whether or not we make it to where we're going to go, it's going to be because of them. We cannot avoid it. We have to continue to put them out. He put Helsley out in some less high leverage situations, built up his confidence a little bit, and now he's looking like the guy that we thought we were getting, one of the best back of the game, end of the game arms in the entire MLB. And if he continues to round into form, Stanek starts looking like he did last year, all of a sudden this bullpen becomes the strength that we thought it was going to be.
100%. There's no way around what you just said. That is to a T, 100% why I'm excited about this game, because we went into like the middle of the Padres series when Rob and I were talking on one of our streams. I think it was a pregame stream. We were talking about which relievers do you actually entrust in this bullpen at that moment when we did the live stream, right? And we're talking about Edwin Diaz, we trust. Listen, Tyler Rogers is my guy. Tyler Rogers is my guy. Like, I don't care. Like, 7-pitch inning, the outing before this one, 6-pitch inning today. He's my guy. He's great. I think that we need to see more of him, but that's for a conversation for another day. And then we trust in Brooks Raley. What other bullpen arm could we get going to entrust in? And we saw Brazaban today. He came in, didn't look good, gave up the 2-run home run. It was a quick pull from Carlos Mendoza, which was really good. And then you get Brooks Raley. Like, Brooks Raley, we already trust. He's a veteran. He's been here before. He's done this before. That's the end of the story with Brooks Raley. But Helsley and Stanek, those are the two names that I'm like, if the Mets can get those guys right with the electricity in their arms, that is the biggest thing that we could hope for as Mets fans to try to get this bullpen rolling. And both guys looked really good today. I know Stanek gave up, a run in his previous outing before this one, but, this is a really good sign. I'm very happy to see it. And just to reiterate the point, the offense getting the job done is why these guys can get this kind of work with, in these low leverage situations. Let's be honest, with the way that Helsley has been working as of his Mets tenure, Mendoza's not probably going to entrust him in this game. All of these are must wins, by the way. All of these are must wins. I don't think we see Helsley in a 1-run ball game. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. But it's good to get him out there in a situation that he feels confident and comfortable, and get him rolling. And hopefully that can continue as he's now posted back-to-back outings in the bullpen, scoreless innings, I should say. So really good stuff from the bullpen. Absolutely. Davinsky, I think Davinsky is actually a very underrated arm. Will we see him in the playoffs? Probably not, but he's had some flashes of brilliance for, in this season for the New York Mets, and he gets the job done closing things out. But let's just talk about the beginning of the game too, because the Mets did get out to a 1-0 lead thanks to Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso, and some shaky defense by Dylan Cruz out in the outfield and right field, and Lindor is able to score all the way around from first by a misplay. Alonso does not get credited for the RBI, but you can kind of count it as an RBI because, listen, it's not going to be an official RBI. He gets the RBI. Let's be honest, he gets the RBI. But things got a little bit shaky for the New York Mets. We were kind of wondering, is this team going to play down to the competition of the Washington Nationals, a team that's clearly inferior to them, because Brandon Sproat in that third inning had a little bit of trouble. The command was a little bit shaky. And it was good to see him go back out there in the fourth and kind of settle in and kind of dominate that inning as a little bit of a bounce back. But in that inning, you had compiling mistakes and the defense in Jose Siri. We actually talked about this in the pregame stream. For those of you all who don't pay attention to the pregame streams, you ought to pay attention because we talked about Jose Siri getting this start. Why is he getting this start? I thought that he was going to be a non-difference maker in terms of the lineup. Like, yeah, they're trying to get him some reps to see if he gets fully comfortable to maybe add him onto the postseason roster. I think Jose Siri is done. Like, done. There's no chance he makes the postseason roster if Tyrone Taylor, who's starting his rehab assignment tonight, comes back fully healthy with no hiccups. Jose Siri is out of here. That was an absolute debacle of a performance by Jose Siri in only a half a game sample size. I'm going to let you sound off here in just a second, but between Jose Siri and between Juan Soto, I would say as well, and Juan Soto's great. We'll talk about the home run. He sets a new career high in home runs tonight. Congratulations to him with 42, breaking the 41 that he hit last year with the Yankees. But Juan Soto defensively, you have to be in the game. Your head has to be in the game, right? Brandon Sproat's a rookie pitcher. A very tough swinging bunt type of play occurred, and Brandon Sproat ends up trying to force the issue, throwing it away from Pete Alonso. Ball ends up in right field. Juan Soto does not make a movement until the ball is already in right field. As a right fielder, as soon as that happens, as soon as that bunt happens and you see Sproat breaking for the ball to make the play, you need to be backing that up automatically. That is a veteran. I know he's only 26 years old. I get it. But that is a veteran out there. He is one of the best in the league, and he's been very solid defensively today. You need to be backing that play up. So between Juan Soto and that missed backup and Jose Siri, not great defensively in the outfield for the New York Mets in this game. They need to clean that up. And I do think that Cedric Mullins is the better option probably at this point moving forward. But Tyrone Taylor is the best option moving forward defensively and offensively if he's able to stay healthy through his rehab assignment and come back to the team after the rehab assignment. So, but I will say, though, the walks, Brandon Sproat set up that inning with the lack of command, and then the defense just followed through thereafter. What did you make them? I'm curious. Like, sound off on all of this, because that is that could have been a game-altering inning had the Mets offense not brought them back into the game. And we'll talk about the Mets offense here in just a second, but that could have been a game-altering inning. Defensively, with the lackadaisical defense, you can't afford to be playing lackadaisical defense at this point of the season. At this stage, Siri, no words for him. Sproat's lack of command, and also the Siri fly ball that he dropped. He ran a long way. I mean, Siri was just trucking out there to try to catch that ball in the gap. They scored it in error originally, but then they reverted it in the next inning to a hit, even though it clearly hit his glove. You know what? I'm going to say this unpopular opinion. It's an unpopular take. I'll say this. As bad as Siri was, I don't hate reversing that error to a hit. I don't hate it.
Why? Because I hate it for Sproat. Because all those runs now, they call them earned runs.
For sure. But the thing is that Gelbs actually broke this from the official score. Siri had to track that ball down.
I don't care. That was an error. He's a big leaguer. The ball hit you in the glove. You're a big leaguer. It's an error, please. He didn't have to dive anything. And now we're giving this kid all the earned runs. I thought that was horseshit.
Sure. Go take it away. Take it away.
So Tyrone Taylor being down in the minor leagues, getting a rehab start at this point of the season, it's all hands on deck, baby. What do you need a rehab start for? Let's get him right back to the majors, man. What are we doing a rehab start for now? Let's figure this out on the field. If you get hurt again and you can't do it, then whatever. But at this point, I don't want to see any more of Jose Siri. Obviously, it was very unfortunate that what happened with him with the broken leg. He's supposed to be a guy that'll hit a bomb every once in a while and plays great defense. Well, I haven't seen him hit a bomb, much of all when he has been actually in the game. CP once again leaving us like he did last time. So I will do my best to hold it down. But Jose Siri overall, he's just not giving you enough. And I think that they say the plan is for Tyrone Taylor to play 9 innings on Sunday. And then once he plays 9 innings on Sunday, a decision will be made. That decision seems very clear at this point. It was always going to be Tyrone Taylor in the lineup and also on the roster as long as he is healthy. It was between Jose Siri and Mullins, and as much as Mullins hasn't given you much, Jose Siri has given us even less. So therefore, I think it's a pretty easy decision for David Stearns and for the Mets brass. And Jose Siri is probably, playing his last couple days with the Mets. CP, I did my best to hold it down, talking about how I don't want to see Siri anymore and how on Sunday when that decision gets made, he's probably going to be out. It was always going to be, Tyrone Taylor if he's healthy, and obviously it's going to be between Siri and Mullins. And as much as Mullins has done, very little, Jose Siri's done even less. And the other thing about Jose Siri is, man, if you're going to rock like if you're going to do like a Deion Sanders cosplay, basically, you got to be nice. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, that shit starts looking like Mullins. He's not that good, but he goes about his business. He's a little quiet guy. It doesn't piss you off as much as when you see Jose Siri not doing what he's supposed to do. And he was hearing boos tonight. I thought that was a little heavy-handed by the I was about to say Shea faithful, by the city faithful, and shows you how old I am. But yeah, no, I thought that was a little bit heavy-handed. And you boo the guy, but then his next at bat, I just think that the guy's had so little, and it's not like he's like he makes me. I boo a guy for lack of effort. Now, I don't go to my stadium to boo a guy because he's not performing well. It's just not what I would do, me personally. That's all. But hey, our defense in the outfield, and look, Soto absolutely should have been backing that up. I coach the league. We teach kids that. The one thing I'll say about Soto is you could tell when he was talking to somebody, and I forget who he was talking to, but he's talking to somebody in the bullpen afterwards, and he was talking about the play, and you could just tell by his body language that he was like, "Damn, okay," And I'm almost sure that Soto will not make that mistake again. That's one of the things I've seen about him is that he came in with a reputation of being a guy who, kind of lackadaisical when it comes to the base running and it comes to the fielding. I think he's got a little bit of that Beltran syndrome where he's moving like so gracefully that it doesn't look like he's necessarily trying hard all the time. But from what I've seen this season, he hasn't made a ton of mistakes in the field just due to lack of effort. I think today was more of a brain fart than a lack of effort. And I think that when he does make a mistake, he typically corrects it and you don't see it again. And when it comes to the base running, I think he looks like a pretty good base runner to me. The way he slides feet first and pops up is something that you would like teach a kid how to do it. He's fantastic at it. And I just think that, I give him a pass on that, especially when you hit a 3-run dinger. And luckily, the only thing worse than our outfield defense tonight was the Nationals.
Very well said. Very well said. I'm actually adjusting. I completely forgot to do this over on YouTube, the actual title of this stream. But I agree. I actually don't think that Soto will make that mistake twice. And that's why I don't want to actually harp on that. That will cost you perhaps a game in the playoffs, but against a team like the Nationals, okay, we'll make that excuse for him, especially with what he's doing offensively. But I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention, as I'm sure everybody's attention was already made aware by that play. but yeah, no, I agree with all that. That is kind of like elementary level baseball, so to speak, with the way that you just said that as well. And that's why I kind of had to bring it up. But the one thing that listen, the inning was the inning. Siri, the drop of the fly ball is one thing. I know that the next error that he made, which is not going to show up as an error on the scorecard, but he kind of completely overran the ball. Actually, he didn't overrun the
It's
ball.
just a horrible angle.
Horrible angle to it, and it ended up going to the wall for a triple. And that guy, I think it's Lilly or whoever it is on Nationals, crazy speed. I mean, it's crazy speed. I've never seen that kind of speed before, honestly. So hats off to him. But it was just kind of compounding mistakes, and then Siri gets the batter's violation for a strike. He misses the sacrifice bunt to set up second and third with one out, and it's just a whole debacle. He felt it from the crowd. I'm gonna take the opposite stance. I don't have no problems with them booing Siri. That's a game at that point where the Mets need to win. You are getting a gift of a start by the manager. You are getting a gift of a start by the manager, and you need to be better than that, because even if you are coming back from injury, you can't make those mistakes. Like, major leaguers do not make those mistakes, and those were horrible mistakes. So yeah, Siri is not going to be playing much, I would have to imagine. And Tyrone
Much
Taylor could
at all. He's out of
at
here.
all. Oh, at all, absolutely.
When
And Tyrone
Tyrone Taylor
Taylor,
comes back, he's out of here.
absolutely, 100%. But the bigger thing that I wanted to point out in that inning, that it all fell apart for the Mets and the Nationals at that point of the game, as we see it's a 12-6 final, and it was 4-1 at that time, was Brandon Sproat. I mean, you know, he set it up, 2 walks in that inning. Can't have that happen. He's a rookie pitcher. He gave up some hard contact, albeit, Siri didn't make the plays behind him. I understand it. But the way that he bounced back in the next inning was crucial for me to see at least him go back out there and just have some new life. Because I think at that point, the Mets tacked on one run. They made it 4-2. He went back out there and he posted a scoreless inning, which is exactly what you want to see. It just didn't seem like he was flustered by what transpired in the previous inning. And that's the type of mentality that Mets pitchers need to have. And that's not like something that's common for a rookie pitcher to have that kind of an inning and then go back out there, even while pitching down, and posting a scoreless inning to try to get it back to your offense, in which they inevitably did tie, shortly after with the Alvarez, 2-run double. So it was really good to see. Do you like this? Is another thing that I wanted to mention, and I will bring up the box score here, actually, because it does matter here in terms of when we're talking about Brandon Sproat, because he only went 4 innings, 4 earned runs. Again, 2 of those earned runs would have been unearned runs if the scorekeeper didn't turn that Siri error into a hit. He only pitched 71 pitches, 4 hits, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, and his ERA in the season over the first 3 starts is 3.94. Jonah Tong had a similar situation in the game before this, where he was at 82 pitches. It was the 5th inning. He completed 5 innings, and Carlos Mendoza, they were wondering if he was going to let Jonah Tong go back out there. And Jonah Tong, it was kind of like he was laboring a little bit, but it was still a very efficient, very good outing for Jonah Tong. And Mendoza still went with the bullpen, given that it's a rookie. With only 71 pitches here for Sproat, being consistent, like, that's what I asked for Mendoza, is to be consistent, and it seems like the decision making was consistent. That's why I don't have a problem with it. If it was me personally, given what Brazaban did right after and relieving Sproat, I would have probably given Brandon Sproat another batter or two. He was only at 71 pitches at the end of the day. But what do you think of that decision to pull Sproat from the game at only 4 innings pitched over 71 pitches? Do you like it or do you not like it?
I would have thrown Sprout out there for one more inning. And I agreed with him taking out Tong the other night, just because I felt like with his previous two starts, this was the time to get him out with, a good feeling moving forward. And, that guy, especially with how emotional he is, you wanted to get him out and get his mind right because we're going to need him. Listen, I think that it's hard for us to understand and look at everything and look at the result and say, oh, you should have done this or that. I would have thrown Sproat out there just because I felt like he was strong. He was continuing to be stronger after that, tough inning that he had in the third. And I felt like, he definitely had at least one more in him. But again, maybe that's more of the mindset of like, hey, we want to get this guy out and get him out with, him feeling confident and feeling good about what he did most recently. And I feel like this is a bit of a adjustment that Mendoza has made, because we saw Mendoza quite often let guys stick in a little bit too long and then they give up that big inning. And we saw him last season have faith in guys, and every time it did, it seemed like they went back out there and got 1, 2, 3 innings and he was the man, and everybody was like, oh my God, this guy pulls all the right strings. So at the end of the day, it's tough what a manager has to do to make these decisions. As you said, you like consistency. I would argue that one of the hardest things a manager has to do is to not fall into patterns and to look at every single situation differently and make that decision in the moment, which is so difficult and so hard. And just like I said on the last stream, this team and how far it goes, it's a huge factor, probably the biggest factor, other than whether or not the offense is hot, is how Carlos manipulates the entire pitching staff and the bullpen. Is he out here pulling all the right strings? And sometimes, like I think they were talking about this during the broadcast, some quote from some old manager or some book about how they did such a good job managing, but their players just didn't play very well. And you know what? Sometimes that's what happens, man. But I like I said, I would have thrown Sproat out there for one more, but I'm not mad at Carlos for the decision he made. And recently, in general, his decisions have been on the right side. So I'm a rock with him for sure.
Yeah. I think he's starting to get a feel. It's very hard. Also understand like Mendoza, where he's coming from, given the lack of, production from some of these guys that he's had to work with. It's a whole different ball game trying to manage something like that, right? Because you dip into the bullpen a little bit more than you would like to. Um, and the guys that are in the rotation are supposed to be producing. Recently, it's been Manaya and Senga, and honestly, even in the first or second half, it's been Peterson as well. So that's very tough. And this whole new adjustment of these rookies coming up, you know, you can you have a choice, right? You have a choice whether to ride with them right until the very end and throw them 90 plus pitches almost every start, or pick a sweet spot of where you feel like they've produced enough, they've shown enough in the start, and then just cut your losses there and have a bullpen that is built to be locked down. They've been anything but locked down, right, over the past couple of weeks, but is built to be on paper locked down, try to be what the back of their baseball cards are meant to be.
Did
Now,
the long
yeah,
inning, was that a factor as well too, though? Keep that in mind too. The long inning
right.
just before, I think that might have been a factor as well.
Right, right. Well, was it the long inning, 2 innings before that? Because it was the 4
No,
because he
we
posted.
scored. We scored 6 in the bottom of the fourth.
Oh, you're talking about from the offense? Yes, correct, correct.
So
Yes,
him sitting for a while, is that part of, is that did that factor into Mendy's decision?
that could have been it too. That could have been it too. I was thinking about the long inning from the defensive perspective, but you're talking about the offense, so that also makes sense too. Listen, again, I'm not like that. Does not bother me, even if the Mets lost this game. I'm not going to say that was the decision that altered the game, because it wasn't. That shouldn't have been the difference maker. And honestly, the Mets shouldn't have been in that position to begin with, because as bad of a position that Sproat put himself and the Mets team in that inning, giving up 2 walks, he was scheduled to get out of that inning with a 2-1 deficit instead of a 4-1 deficit. So, and we're talking about obviously the Jose Siri dropped fly ball there too. So, you know what? it's good that it worked out. It's good that it worked out. I love that it worked out. And we're talking about some W's here in the live chat. Make sure to spam the W's. I absolutely love it. It's always good to talk about a Mets W. As always, if you're here in the live chat, please hit those thumbs up buttons and subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to subscribe over to Independent Nick over on YouTube. This is the exact that you can find him talking Mets, Knicks, Jets, whatever else around sports that you want to talk about. He's probably talking about it, honestly. So make sure to go ahead and show some love and subscribe there as well. Let's see here. I want to get into some of the comments just real quick. Thank you so much to Jonathan, and thank you to everybody that's showing up in the live chat as well. I definitely appreciate it. Let's take a look at some of Jonathan's comments as well. CP, first, thanks for answering my questions on the Pure Gentleman Sports Network. Shout out. I was in DC when you were for the game. Yes, I got you. I got you, Jonathan. I got you on that 100%. We will get with that. We can talk offline there. You got to admit, it's insane that we're relying so heavily on these kids, all part of the plan. And Stearns right to the wire. Why can't we just cruise? It is, Nick, it's kind of insane, right? It is kind of insane that we have to rely on these kids.
This is the life that we have chosen, though. This is being a Mets fan. There's no such thing as cruising when you're a Mets fan. We don't get to do that.
Yeah. There's no cruising if you're a Mets fan. I mean, when is the last time we've been able to cruise?
Honestly,
I can't remember. No, never.
A few years ago, it felt like we were cruising all year, and the Braves still hawked us down at the end of the season. And if you lived through 07 and 08 like I did, then you never feel like anything is safe.
Absolutely. It's not. I mean, 101 wins. The Braves still track you down. That will live with you for a while until this Mets team handedly wins a division, which has not been the case. So, and the last thing that Jonathan is saying here, thank you for all the super chats. I definitely appreciate it, Jonathan. It means a lot. I asked on Pure John Sports MVP contention for yes, 100%. Soto's an MVP candidate. There's no way around it. Contention for Soto, or is all Ohtani the guy's been carrying us? I think Soto deserves the MVP. I'm sorry. I non-biasedly with what he's been doing and where this Mets team is at. I think he deserves the MVP.
Did you think Lindor should have won last year?
No. I was fine with him not winning. So
I was a huge proponent of Francisco Lindor winning MVP last year because few things were different. He had, offensively, he was obviously better, but he was very good defensively last year. And Ohtani was a DH. I don't think a DH should win because it's like, dude, you don't play defense, you don't play half of the game. And, Lindor plays a top tier, premier position and did it so well last year. And also all the intangibles as far as leading this team back from where they were, which, by the way, Lindor has been a fantastic leader this season. Even when things are not going well for him, the enthusiasm that he shows and the way that he gets fired up. Lately, he's been manufacturing runs with the way that he is hustling and being heads up and pay attention. Make sure we give some respect and some love to our guy, our captain, Francisco Lindor. Go ahead and give him the C. But yeah, I think that Soto this year, the only reason that I say maybe he shouldn't win the MVP over Ohtani is because Ohtani is actually pitching this year too. So that's the thing. It's kind of hard to not give this guy the MVP if he's pitching the way that he has been, even though it's been in limited innings, and he's also being, the most dynamic offensive player in the game. Soto, listen, for all you sad Yankee fans out there who said he costs too much money, which you guys offered him the same money, it's a non-salary cap sport. It's just an idiotic argument. And he started off slow. To anybody who was out there who lost faith and didn't think that this guy was going to end up having a OPS over a 900 in what many people would consider a down year for him. He's 26 years old. He's been fantastic. He's had an entire new element to his game, which is the stolen base. And all I can do is hope that he has a magical run and he leads us to the promised land. And with him, you feel like at any time he could get hot, and it kind of seems like it's bubbling up and getting that way. That home run he hit today, I was sitting there watching the game with my son. I was deflated when it first hit off the bat because I said to my son, I popped it up. And then I'm watching the fielder, and the fielder just keeps giving ground, giving ground, giving ground, giving ground. I'm like, oh shit, that's out of here. So yeah, man. I mean, he's been fantastic, especially of late, hitting with runners in scoring position, and he's just such a dynamic bat, and he's so dangerous in so many different ways. And if he really, really gets hot, along with, him, Pete, Lindor, obviously those are all important. You're going to need a couple of those, ancillary guys to pick it up here and there as well. Alvarez with a huge double tonight for sure. But Juan Soto, what can you say, man? He's been great. I would not quite give him the MVP over Ohtani, but what a season for him, especially with the way it started. He did not let the scrutiny and the overall pressure make him, kind of whittle. He stepped up to it, and now he's showing everybody the guy, the historic hitter that he is. He always ends up on lists where there's like 2 or 3 people. Now it's it's him, Boggs, and Barry Bonds are the only guys with, I don't know, I'll mess up the stats if I try to say it. But yeah, man, this guy, he's fantastic. And anybody who doubted that it made sense to give him this amount of money over those type of years, they clearly don't understand baseball. This deal will age well. He will age well, and we're lucky to have him for, not just foreseeable, but for, several years in the as far as we can see future.
Otani's an absolute unicorn. It's really hard. I think he's got like just over 40 innings pitched so far on this ledger, I guess, of the 2025 season. He's pitching to like over 3 ERA. He's doing it on both sides again after coming back from the arm injury. So I agree. Like, is anybody expecting Juan Soto to like he got snubbed of an All-Star game? Like,
That's still crazy.
is anyone actually expecting him to win the MVP over Ohtani? I know that I'm absolutely not, but I will say I think that it's a bigger deal than most people give credit for, and I think it's often overlooked just how much he's unlocked the stolen base game for this team and for himself, right? I think it's very overlooked. I think that people just kind of like laugh it off, like, oh, he's only stealing these bases because pitchers are allowing him to do it because they're not, and the broadcast says it all the time, because pitchers don't want to take him serious, whatever. Who cares? You're talking about a guy that has 13, he had 13 stolen bases as his career high, and now he's at 34.
Shout to Antoine.
For sure. 100%. 100%. But it's like, yeah, he got off to a slow start this season. That's undeniable. Nobody's denying that. But like, look at where the numbers are still at right now. He's blasted a career high in home runs, and everyone thought that it was not possible, including myself, to hit that many home runs if he didn't have, the Yankee Stadium in effect. Citi Field's a different dimension. He didn't care. He doesn't care. It don't matter for him. Like, this guy's insane. And, I know that the Dodgers definitely would not be where they're at right now without Ohtani. That's 100% correct, because they're not playing at their peak, I don't think. I think objectively they're not playing at their peak. But, like, this Mets team would not even be sniffing any sort of playoff baseball without Juan Soto. Like, it wouldn't even be close. It wouldn't even be close. So, you know what? I'm biased. I will give Juan Soto the MVP nod for myself, and I think that he deserves it, especially after the All-Star game snub. Unfortunately, that's not how it really works. But yeah, I mean, at least there is a viable case to be made. And don't even get me, like, I love Kyle Schwarber for the Phillies. I love him. You're not, like, he's not getting the MVP over either of these guys. Like, he's not even in the consideration for me for MVP.
I bet that he finishes ahead of Soto, even though I don't
bet he
agree.
does.
I bet he finishes ahead of Soto.
I bet he does. But it's not. It shouldn't be close. It shouldn't, like, the same DH BS that we're talking about like DHs impacting the game. Like Schwarber should not be in the MVP conversation. It should be two guys. It should be Juan Soto or Shohei Ohtani. That's it. And the fact that you're saying this, and I completely agree with you, that Schwarber probably will finish before Juan Soto in the MVP discussion is an absolute joke. Schwarber would love to have that guy on my team every single day of the week. 100%. He's going to be a free agent. We'll see how that plays out. I don't know what the Phillies' intentions are. I'm sure he's going to stay in Philly. I'm sure he is. But like he just doesn't impact the game as much as Juan Soto. I'm sorry to say. He just doesn't. He doesn't. So, anyways, that's a discussion for another time when that award gets awarded. But we do have to talk about this offense because this is another game where they posted 10 plus runs, 10 plus hits. This was an immaculate game from this offense. I mean, top to bottom, outside of Jose Siri, I know Brett Beatty, took the over and he scored a run, but we will erase Jose Siri from our memory of this game. Like, I don't even want to mention him anymore because he's just kind of an afterthought.
Yo,
But
lots of runs being scored around the MLB tonight. Mets
100%.
scored 12. You got Braves scoring 10.
Yeah.
Sox score 11. Royals score 20. They put up a 20 piece against the Blue Jays tonight.
That's insane. The best team in the AL too, huh?
Yep.
Best team in the AL. Wait, by the way, the White Sox beat the Padres, if I'm not mistaken, no?
4-3.
4-3.
When I said Sox, I actually meant the Red Sox. The Red Sox scored 11.
But that spurred an idea in my head because I'm like, okay, entering this game 4 games below the Padres for that, that third wild card, 3 games now.
Somebody said it in the chat earlier. I forget who it was, but shout out to whoever in the chat pointed it out. Not too long. Listen, anything's possible.
Absolutely. I will still say it's pretty far-fetched with 8 games left. The Padres don't really look like they're playing their best baseball right now. Like when you talk about trying to get hot at the end of a season, the Padres look like they're going in the complete opposite direction. And Rob was, even pointing that out in our stream yesterday. And it's a good point too, because it's not impossible. But you know what? Before we get into the offense here, I just displayed the box score for the Mets today. I actually put up a poll on my YouTube channel, probably about maybe 30 minutes before the game actually ended. Who would you rather see at this point in the playoffs? Because there's 2 scenarios, right? With the way things are shaking out right now. And we thought originally a couple days ago that we were going to be seeing the Dodgers and everything was lining up to see the Dodgers. If the season ended today, we would actually be seeing the Cubs, if I'm not mistaken. We would actually be seeing the Cubs. So, and we have a series against this very Cubs team coming up here soon. The Cubs don't really have anything to pull. Oh, they do. They're playing for the ability to stay above the Dodgers. That's what they're playing for. They're locked into that third wild card spot. They're playing for that 3rd seed. So for them, it's like, all right, do we want to play the Mets? Do we want to play the Padres? And that's what the Dodgers are also asking themselves, I'm pretty sure. But from our perspective, and for the sake of the conversation, Cubs or Dodgers, who would you rather see?
Baseball, more than any other sport, the other sports, basketball, football, even hockey, you look at matchups and you say, oh, this is a good matchup for us, but this is not a good matchup for us. I don't really feel that way in baseball too much, honestly. I think at the end of the day, baseball has a lot more to do with what you're doing as opposed to how you match up to the other team. And really, I mean, as much as the Padres have been playing well, their bullpen, that's the type of thing that scares me when you get to the playoffs. Is when a team has a couple really dominant starters, or they have a really dominant back end of the bullpen and you feel like you're always playing, 5 or 6 inning games. And so honestly, I haven't seen a ton of the Cubs this much. I want to go through the Dodgers just because I want revenge for last year. I think that would be emotionally something that would be really important for this team. And if they were able to get over that hump, I think that could propel them moving forward. But really, man, I just want us to be playing the apps. I know it's kind of a cop out answer, but I'm sorry I can't give you a hot take like they do in today's TV. But I just feel like, man, it's about what we're doing on our end. Are we playing well? Is our manager, pushing the right buttons? And no matter who we play, if the offense is clicking like it has been recently, and that back end of the bullpen is looking like it has the potential to, that's what's going to be the difference, not who we end up seeing on the other side of the diamond.
Yeah, I do agree with that, and I've always said this too. If the starting pitch, actually, if any pitcher, right, regardless if it's bullpen or the rotation for this Mets team gets it together and is able to find a little bit of a hot stretch, I like this Mets team's chances against anybody. I think they stack up well against anybody because I don't think the Brewers and the Phillies are definitely by and large the favorites in the NL right now. I understand that. The Mets showed us why, they can beat a Phillies organization that was division winners last season. If they match up in the playoffs, that doesn't concern me. The Brewers, they lost actually Trevor McGill, so that's going to be a really, really, really big impact to them. But they're still a very pesky team. They're the youngest team in the league. They're fiery. They play with a chip on their shoulder. The Brewers are actually, I think that I know that there's a notion against the Brewers that they're perpetual choke artists, and I understand that, but I think that this is the year for them that it actually flips. Like I think that they're that talented. But that's not to say that I don't think the Mets can beat them. Like if they match up with them, I think they can. But what I will say is, you know, for the sake of giving an answer, I understand the Dodgers look kind of shaky. I get it. They look like their most vulnerable selves right now. And a lot of people in the chat are talking about, wanting to see the Dodgers. I still would probably, if I had to give you an answer, I'd rather take my chances against the Cubs. I think I would. I think that's my honest answer. Just because there's really not even a reason to why that is. I just don't necessarily believe in that team wholeheartedly. Like the offense doesn't scare me at their peak as much as, and they're a talented team. Like do not get it mistaken. I'm not trying to downplay them, but like at both peaks between the Dodgers lineup and the Cubs lineup, I think if both are going 100% full throttle on go, I'd probably rather just see the Cubs lineup, like to be honest. And that's just the bottom line. So it's tough. It's tough because I think it should be a little bit more equal than it is. But if I had to give you an answer, you gave the cop out answer. I'm going to give you a real answer. I think it's going to be the Cubs. I think that's who I would prioritize, maybe, perhaps. I don't know. That
The
could backfire.
PCA having a huge series on both sides of the ball. That would really hurt my heart, man.
That would
That
suck.
would really hurt my heart if we saw that. And that's a guy, I do have him on my Dynasty Fantasy Baseball team. I did draft him this year. And so he's going to be a guy moving forward that we definitely keep. So at least if he can't do it for the Mets, he can do it for the dirty jerseys. But yo, man, at the end of the day, yo, I just feel like, it doesn't matter. At the end of it's all about us. It's all about us and what we do. It's all about, honestly, if there's one team that scares me the most, it's probably the Brewers. Just because of the wagon that they've been this season. But you know what? I bet you Brewers fans are probably saying to themselves, if there's one team I don't want to see, it's the Mets because of what
Well,
happened
they know that
last year.
for sure. For sure. I think Brewers fans understand that the curse that their team is currently under. I actually know quite a few Brewers fans, and they know that their team. I tell them all the time. I'm like, your team is perpetual choke artists. Like, you know that, right? And they're like, yeah, we know. Like, we don't even know what to expect in this kind of magical season. It's just crazy to even think that this team that continuously cycles their roster every year and letting go free agents that they should be re-signing and still being in this situation, just like the franchise is in such a good position over
Who are we
there.
giving credit for that, though?
Well, David Stearns, I absolutely 100%. It's the long game. Like David Stearns, that's why the most Mets fans, I understand. Like we're talking about the short game with this organization, the Mets, but The long game for the Brewers is exactly why they're in this position right now, is because David Stearns left that organization in that position. Let's not make any mistake about it. Like that, it's a factual statement. It's a factual statement. So that's a good point by you. But um, last thing we got to talk about here is this offense, because again, I always go into these games and the
I
last.
got a question for you as far as the pitching is concerned, real quick. I need to
Oh yeah,
know
go
how
ahead.
you feel about something.
Go ahead.
Senga, talk to me. Well, do you want to see him back? In what capacity do you want to see him back? I mean, I made this point to my dad on our podcast the other day. Yo, we threw this guy out there to pitch a game in the division series when we hadn't seen him in months. So, you never know what Manny's going to do with this guy. What do you want to see?
I think he put up a stinker yesterday in his AAA outing. I think he's going to be seeing live batters as of next week, according to what I heard. I'm assuming it's going to be early on in the week. I have no doubt in my mind. I have no doubt in my mind that this Mets team is going to bring Kodai Senga back up. Like, they're going to do it. They're not going to leave him out of a chance of a situation. What I would see, I don't care how many innings he pitches at the big league level before this season is done. I would like to see him back up, and I'd like to see how he fares. Because I think that he could be such a big asset to this rotation in whatever capacity. Because now we're talking about a wild card series where you can manipulate your rotation and have a bunch of piggybacks, tag teams, whatever you want to call it. We've already seen it with Holmes and Manaya. We will see it again in the wild card series. With the way that David Peterson is going right now, do we want him to start the game, or do we want to actually expect 5 innings from him? Probably not, because he's probably going to fizzle out again like all these other pitchers in the 4th inning. And you haven't let's just count on our fingers real quick, like when we're talking about this roster, right? Starters versus bullpen. Like we could do the math of bullpen arms based off the starters. You've got Nolan McLean, Jonah Tong, Brandon Sproat. I think all 3 of those guys, no matter what, are going to be on the postseason roster. Like, in whatever, if they're starting or if they're in the bullpen, doesn't matter. That's 3. You've got David Peterson will be on the roster. You've got Clay Holmes, Sean Manaea. That's 6 potential starters. Do you roll with 7 bullpen arms, or do you bring Kodai Senga as the 7th quote-unquote starter and designate another guy to the bullpen? Yeah, you're going to bring Kodai Senga in. So you've got 7 starters, 6 bullpen arms. You're able to, if Kodai Senga comes up, it's not about the statistics in AAA that matter to me for Kodai Senga. I could care less, because before yesterday, he actually did really well in AAA. Montas was, I don't even know, like, I could say many things about what Montas was when he was making his rehab assignments, all of which are not good. And he came out actually in his first few starts of this season. He did okay. His first outing was like 6 innings pitched against the Braves, and he put up a really good start. I don't care what Senga's numbers are in AAA. I think that Senga knows already how to pitch in the MLB, but his game plan in terms of pitch distribution, that's the strategy that he should be working on in AAA. When to use the ghost fork and when to use the fastball. Because right now, with what we've seen with Kodai Senga at the major league level, he does not know what time to use his fastball, and he just simply hasn't located with it. It's not an electric fastball, but he needs the fastball to set up the ghost fork. That's the problem. And if you look at the numbers, opposing hitters' numbers against his fastball at the major league level this season, it's not pretty. He's been all ghost fork all the time. And that pitch usually is not a strike. If they lay off of it, they're looking for the fastball. He's been in big trouble. That's what's gone to Kodai Senga. If he can utilize his fastball a little bit more in certain spots, I think he could be effective. I'm not expecting Kodai Senga to ever, for the rest of the season, give us anything north of 5 innings pitched, maybe even 4 innings pitched. But we're not expecting 4 innings plus out of Clay Holmes as well, right? Because we have Sean Manaea to piggyback off of him. That's the same thing that they're going to do with Nolan McLean in game 1. if he runs into trouble with David Peterson, should David Peterson not make a start? And if Kodai Senga comes up here and looks competent, the thing about David Peterson is that David Peterson only goes into the bullpen as a long man if Kodai Senga is entrusted to start one of these games for the Mets in the wild card series. That's the decision they have to make. Are you, Nick? Are you confident in David Peterson right now? Because I'm not. Are
Oof.
you?
I can't say I'm confident in him. I mean, I think that the
Absolutely
guy,
not.
what I really didn't like from him was his comments after the game. This most recent start, where he said some stuff about how, like, throughout the course of the year, you're going to have some tough outings. I'm not too worried about it. Nah, man, I don't want to hear that shit this time of year. I want you to be like, listen, hey, with this time of year, I got to go out there and I got to be better than that. And today I didn't get it. This is the type of narrative that I want you putting out. And that's the way that I want you to feel personally, Peterson. And, obviously he gave up that grand slam to Manny Machado. But, hey, this is a results business and everything is fluid. And with what he's been doing recently, look, I literally just on after Monday's game said you have to give Peterson a start. I'm out on that. At this point, I'm like, yo, this guy doesn't get a start, and if he's gonna pitch like that, and he's gonna have that type of mindset, then yeah, he might be a guy that's coming out. I think that I would like to see the Senga Tong maybe combination like we saw the other night with Clay Holmes and Manaya. I think that could be something that's important. And I think that when we start talking about how many starters versus how many relievers, as we know, all hands on deck. We really only need 4 starters. Sometimes you can get away with really having 3 starters, depending on a series and how the off days and everything is scheduled. So I just think that, when it comes to Senga, it's all about he has to throw fastballs early in the count. He has to get ahead. When he gets ahead, now the ghost fork is very dangerous. Too often this year, he's tried to throw the fork early. Guy, the book is out on you, man. People have seen you. And he doesn't, occasionally last year I felt like he could pop it in for a strike every once in a while. That doesn't seem to be the case. And if he gets a blue who is not giving him that low strike, and then he starts getting behind, and now guys can sit on that fastball, that's when he really gets hurt. That's when he is very susceptible to the long ball. And for me, it's all about control with him. He cannot walk guys. He cannot afford to walk guys, and he cannot afford to get himself in counts where guys can sit on his fastball. So he's got to throw the fastball earlier in the count and then put him away with the fork ball, with the ghost fork. And it was distressing seeing what he did in AAA last night. And I don't know how much they're talking about getting against live batters. So what? We're supposed to give this guy like a tryout at this point in the season? Come on, man. We ain't got time for that shit. So I don't know,
I
man.
agree.
But I do think, especially with what I saw last year, that they are going to figure out a way to get him out there in some capacity in the postseason.
Of course they are. No, he's gonna be on this roster in the postseason. Like let's be honest. I have that full expectation, whether we agree with it, whether I agree with it or not. I think he's gonna be a part of this roster. Um, I would just I don't mind that idea. Like I don't mind Kodai Senga being paired up with Tong and maybe even Sproat if that's what it takes in that kind of game. When you have 7 pitchers that are capable of starting, you have that luxury if you're Mendoza to piggyback in every single game. And I think that Peterson could be used as the insurance in game 1 to just set the tone of the series behind Nolan McLean. And then at that point, and I told Rob this, like when you have that luxury of having a piggyback in every game, you shorten the amount of error that your bullpen guys that you don't trust in and ruin a game for you because you just won't see them by and large. You'll have a game where you have McLean and Peterson, and then you're going right to Rogers and Diaz or Rayleigh and Diaz to lock down a game if the offense gets the job done. And I think that's the recipe for success. And then in game 2, if Senga really needs to be on this postseason roster, which I think we both agree he will, you'll have Senga, Sproat, and Tong that can get you also and bridge you to that 8th and 9th inning as well, should that happen. If not the whole game, because I think between those 3, you would probably think that they have the whole game in them. So there's a lot of different ways that having these arms that are capable of doing both. Now, that's the one thing we don't know if everyone's capable of doing both, especially with these rookies. Is Brandon Sproat able to come out of the pen? We saw it fail in AAA. He was not comfortable. But in the postseason, like if you want to fit Senga in, they're going to have to be coming out of the bullpen. That's the only other way. And I don't think that they're optioning any of the three rookies down to AAA, back down to AAA, since they're all postseason eligible. So that's just my 2 cents on that. But yeah, man, I think that is something that we'll have to see how it works out, man. I don't know about like we don't know about Senga. Peterson, with his comments that you just said, it's been sorry, David Peterson. It hasn't been the last couple of starts to end the season. It's been the entire second half, buddy. It's been the entire second half. You've been bad the entire second half. Like with a couple of exceptional starts here and there in between, you have not been consistent. I'm sorry to say. And that's just the bottom line. So that's what I feel about that. There's still so many question marks of how the Mets are going to go about this thing with the rotation and the bullpen combined. So let's just talk about the offense here just for a second. Box score here. I'm actually going to step away for just 1 second, hold it down, just talk about the offense real quick before we end the stream.
Yeah, your boy Lindor continues to be hot. 3 for 4, scores 4 runs, showing the emotion. Love what I'm seeing out of Lindor here recently. Soto, what can we say that hasn't already been said? 3-run dinger. He, of course, has 2 walks. Best eye in baseball. I mean, when you look at the walks, you look at the steals, you look at the runs scored, the OPS, just having an absolutely phenomenal year, and that's after a very, very tough start. Alonso, I thought that base hit by him early on was huge, just to keep the the merry-go-round going, and to have the Mets continue to be an offense that looked like they were going to score runs and support this young pitcher. Vientos been having a tough time of it recently. He got hot for a while, was having a really, really good stretch, and recently he's fallen off. So that's been a tough thing for him and a tough thing for us as Mets fans. But hopefully he can get hot again, because we're going to need Vientos. Let's not forget, last year in the playoffs, he was a very clutch bat and one of our best offensive performers. So definitely need to see him continue to do his thing. Brandon Nimmo continues to be an absolute RBI machine. 2 more ribeye steaks today. Scores a run. Nimmo, I just, consummate professional. He has had a very good offensive year. I think defensively, he's improved a little bit. I don't know exactly what's going on with Nimmo, but it seems like he can throw the ball a little bit more. I mean, he's no Yoenis Cespedes when it comes to his arm, but it seems like Nimmo recently has been getting the ball in pretty decent. And there was a time where he had a straight popcorn, pop gun arm. So Nimmo starting to flash a little bit of leather and be able to make the at least, competitive throw, I think, is something that's important. Love what you're seeing out of Marte. I have been saying for a few years now, when Starling Marte is in the game and he is hitting, that is one of the biggest factors for whether or not this Mets offense and this Mets team is playing well, is Starling Marte, his health and his ability to contribute. And hey, man, Alvarez, huge hit for him today. And he is a guy who has shown a lot of toughness, a lot of grit here recently. And he's been able to play through all these different injuries, especially playing arguably, definitely the most brutal position in this game, and one of the most brutal positions you can play in all of sports. So big ups to Alvarez for pushing through. Let me ask you this. I got a question for you. Game 7 of the World Series. Who's your starting catcher?
Uh, uh, I'll probably ride with Francisco Alvarez, dude. I'd probably ride with Francisco Alvarez. I know like defensively you'd want Luis Torrens in there. I still subject myself to the fact that if this team by some miracle makes it to the World Series behind all of these young guys at the starting in the starting rotation, I know it's not the same. I get it. Like Alvarez has been beaten up. It's actually a miracle that he's still even like on the field right now. He's been beaten up so much. I'd say Alvarez, dude. I don't know. It's tough. That's a really tough question. That's a really tough question. But you know what, though? This is one of the situations where if they go with a guy like Terens, I wouldn't bat an eye. I wouldn't care. I would just prioritize Alvarez just given the youth. But like there's like and that's not really the biggest of like reasons. Like that's not even really a valid reason to have Alvarez in there. It would actually shock me to see Alvarez in there in that situation. I think they would go with the veteran in Terens, but I would just give the nod to Alvarez at that point.
Fair. Teren's arm, man. It's just so new. And that's
Hear
actually,
ya.
that depends a lot on the matchup. Are we playing against a team that, likes to steal bags a lot? If that's the case, then that makes you a little bit more compelled to have Terenz in there. But yeah, it's not an easy call for sure.
Yeah, it's not like, but the thing is that when I take a look at the American League, like if I'm not mistaken, I actually don't watch American League Baseball like that. Like, I don't know like which team is like a perennial threat to steal bases like that, though. You know what I
Well,
mean?
nobody steals bases like the Mets, but yeah.
Oh, what is it? 93 tries stealing second base. Like they haven't been caught or something stupid like that. Like that's absolutely insane. That's insane.
Antoine needs to be studied. If I'm another team, man, I'm doing everything I can to pry this guy away because I mean, what he's done for Soto alone. But I mean, if you
Right.
watch this team day in and day out throughout the season, yes, we have some guys who can steal bags, but we're just clearly on a totally different level when it comes to our understanding of the other pitchers' move and when it's time to go. And clearly, he's the guy who gets the credit for that.
Yeah, I'm sure teams are going to be trying to pry him away from the Mets because this is the one thing where I saw like in years past where I was like, this team really needs to start stealing bases to like unlock that next level of their game and the offense. And they've done just that. And it's been a dramatic increase since last season, like dramatic. And Soto is like the catalyst of that, but like you even take a look at like some other guys that are running the bases really well. And maybe not, it's not correlating maybe until into the actual stolen base category, but just the way they're running the bases, it's absolutely insane. The Brewers are 100% like a better base running team than the Mets by and large. I see Jeremy saying the Mariners and the Cubs have stolen more bases as well. The Brewers are like, I'm sure the Cubs can actually steal bases. You got PCA there. He's very speedy. He can steal a lot of bases too. Like,
Yeah,
I,
we
I
don't
don't know.
have one guy on our roster who's like, oh my God, this guy. I mean, Lindor
Right.
typically is going to get his steals. Obviously, you've never seen anything like this from Soto before. So the fact that we're even, and it's not necessarily about like the total or the sum with the Mets, it's the overall
Percentage.
efficiency. Yeah.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like to not be like caught. And by caught, like Soto has been caught because he's been picked off. Like
Sure.
that's like I guess you could say that's caught, but like I think we're talking about like bang bang, is he out or is he safe without the pickoff? Like they have not been caught stealing. If I did you hear the broadcast say 90 plus stolen base tries? Like that's insane. Like I don't
Insane.
think people realize how insane that is. So it is absolutely about the efficiency. So listen, summarize this. Great win. Great win. 80th win of the season. 8 left to play. 12-6. That's it. That's really it. That like this is the game where the offense took over. The pitching was a little bit scattered, I guess, early on in the game with Brandon Sproat. Bullpen did its job by and large, minus Huascar Brazaban. Jose Series, get out of here. That's all we can say. We talked about it. You're out of here. Boom. See ya. But other than that, you got Nolan McLean tomorrow. No other pitcher that you'd rather have on the mound, by and large, for this Mets team than Nolan McLean. Cade Cavalli is going for, this is a former first round pick for the Nationals in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Then he had Tommy John in 2022 or 2023, one of those years. again, another pitcher that this offense should have no problems scoring runs against. Like, the offense continues to not be a factor in terms of my worry about this team. Nolan McLean, go out there, do what you do. I said this. I don't know if you agree with this. I think this is a must sweep, Nick. Like must sweeps are kind of tough to like ask from teams. I don't care. I say this. I'm gonna say this all the time. If the Mets lost this game, I was gonna be very pissed off in the post game. Like this whole post game would have been complete 180. Like I'm not gonna take positives here, positives there, positives where I can get them, like I do in April and May. I'm like, you shat the bed in a game that you're supposed to win because you're supposed to sweep this series. And I'm not shying away from that. I understand a series win will probably still be celebrating because of it, because this is the major leagues. It's 162. This is a sweep. This has to be a sweep. I'm sorry. It has to be a sweep.
I'm with you, man. It's the lowly Nationals. They just lost. They just got swept by the Braves. It's time for us to take care of business. You know, the thoughts start to creep in when we're down 4-1 and we just made all these silly mistakes. And you start to think to yourself, damn, they just got swept by the Braves. They're due for one. But hey, man, the offense was able to kick it into gear. And as you said, the bullpen, other than Brazaban, was able to hold it down. So we got McLean coming out tomorrow. Hopefully he's out there spinning it, doing what he can do, and the offense can continue to put up runs and continue to tack on. You know, I almost feel like the game that we're gonna have to win 2-1 or 3-2 is coming. And I think tomorrow is a good candidate for that. And we have the right guy on the mound to be able to do exactly that. Your boy Diaz was able to rest tonight. Helsley looks like he's got it all figured out. You know, Rogers continues to just, pitch fantastically since he's been a Met and really all season. Really shit throughout his career. So I just think, man, hey, man, everything is moving in the right way. At the end of the season, getting, less than 90 wins is definitely not what we thought, but it doesn't matter how you get there. It matters where you finish. Let's go, Mets.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. I don't have anything to add on to what Nick just said because that's a perfect synopsis of this post game stream and what the Mets should be doing from here on out. TBI to be determined, TBD tomorrow for the streams. I'll have to see what the workaround schedule. I'd love to be live for these games, but Sunday for sure will be live. Tomorrow's up in the air, unfortunately, because I really want to talk about Brandon Stroke's start. But as always, hit the notifications button on the YouTube channel to get notified when we go live. Hit the thumbs up button as well. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. I definitely appreciate it. Trying to truck along to 3,000 subscribers over on YouTube. I definitely appreciate it. Everybody that was a part of this live chat, as always, you all were great. I definitely appreciate and enjoy reading your comments because at the end of the day, you all provide maybe backing our opinions up, but also maybe providing a different perspective, which I can always appreciate. And please, again, for the last time, subscribe to Nick's YouTube channel, as you can see with the @ here on your screen. Subscribe, Independent Nick, especially if you're a Knicks fan. Listen, if you're a Knicks fan, I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of content coming out. Hopefully I can join you on some of those videos and streams that you do on the channel, because even though I don't talk Knicks on my channel like that, this is a big season for the New York Knicks. It's like a very highly anticipated one. So we'll see how that ends up. A lot of talking points. So subscribe to Knicks channel. Huge win today. Big game tomorrow. Big game the rest of the way. And we'll see you all on the next stream, whether it's tomorrow or the day after. I appreciate it. Let's go Mets. Peace.